Welcome back to Man of Substance. Today, let's talk about what really happens inside a woman's mind when you go no contact. Because a lot of men think she just moves on, forgets you, and starts living her best life. But that's not how it actually plays out. No contact isn't just silence, it's a mirror. It forces her to sit with emotions she's been avoiding. At first, she feels powerful, maybe even relieved, thinking she's in control. But as days turn into weeks, that confidence starts to fade. She starts questioning herself. Why hasn't he reached out? Did he really stop caring? That's when doubt creeps in, and your silence becomes louder than any message you could have sent. This video will break down every emotional stage she goes through, from denial to regret. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why no contact works, and how to handle it like a man who knows his worth. When a man goes no contact, the first thing that happens is this. She feels like she's in control. In her mind, she's the one calling the shots. She thinks she can handle your silence. In fact, she might even tell herself that you're the one who's hurt, that you're the one trying to get her attention. It gives her a sense of confidence, almost like a mental boost. She might smile at her phone, post something that looks like she's living her best life, and convince herself that she's winning this little game. But what she doesn't realize yet is that what feels like power is really just a reaction to losing control. At this stage, she's running on ego. She's not thinking about the emotional bond. She's thinking about image. She wants to look unaffected because that helps her hide the truth, that your silence is already bothering her. She's checking your socials, noticing when you're online, maybe even asking mutual friends about you. But she'll never admit it. She has to keep the act going, at least for a while. And that's what creates the illusion of power. You see, when you go silent, you're doing something that women aren't used to. You're removing their emotional leverage. Most women expect a reaction. They expect the messages, the calls, the apologies, the explanations. But when none of that comes, it shakes their confidence. At first, they mask that with pride. That's why the beginning of no contact looks like she's in control. But that's temporary. It's emotional momentum, not stability. Here's where it gets interesting. The illusion starts fading when your silence lasts longer than she predicted. The first week, she's fine. The second week, she starts to wonder. By the third, she begins to think, did he really move on? Did he actually stop caring? That's when doubt replaces pride. What started as a power move now feels like a loss of influence. Think of the movie Legally Blonde. When Ella Woods gets dumped, she puts on that confident front. She dresses up, smiles, and pretends she's okay. But deep down, that confidence is just her ego trying to survive rejection. It's only later, when she sees her ex move on, that the illusion breaks and she realizes how much it hurt. That's exactly what happens when you go no contact. She puts on the same emotional armor, only for it to start cracking when she realizes you're no longer chasing her. So remember this, in the early phase of no contact, her pride is louder than her emotions. Don't be fooled by her apparent calm or her online activity. The illusion of power is her defense mechanism, not her reality. Stay silent, stay centered, and let her act play out. Because the next thing that happens when that illusion finally fades is the emotional crash that turns her confidence into confusion. The next thing that happens after that illusion of power fades is what I call the emotional crash. This is where everything she tried to convince herself of starts to fall apart. At first, she thought she was fine, that your silence didn't matter. But now, that silence has become heavy. It's no longer a symbol of your weakness. It's a reminder of her loss. She starts to feel that uneasy mix of confusion and frustration. She tells herself she doesn't care, but deep down, she's checking her phone, scrolling through her old messages, wondering why you haven't reached out. That's when the first crack appears. The same woman who once said she was done starts realizing she's not as detached as she thought. The emotions she tried to suppress start surfacing one by one. The crash doesn't happen all at once. It's slow and subtle. It usually begins with overthinking. She replays the last conversation in her head. She starts picking apart every detail. Was I too harsh? Did I push him too far? Maybe I overreacted. She starts looking for reasons to justify why you've stayed silent. And when she can't find one that makes sense, she begins to feel something she didn't expect. Doubt. Doubt is powerful because it makes her question everything she believed about the situation. She thought you'd come chasing back. She thought she had emotional control. But when you don't show up, she realizes something's off. That's when the emotional crash hits. It's that sudden wave of realization that maybe she misread your strength. Maybe she underestimated how much you've grown. Now she starts to feel the loss more deeply. Not because of your absence, but because of what your absence represents. Control she no longer has. The more she tries to distract herself, the more she ends up reminded of you. Songs, routines, mutual friends, everything seems to circle back to the connection she tried to ignore. And no matter how hard she tries to stay busy, there's always a quiet moment that catches her off guard, where she starts missing the stability you once gave her. This stage is where she begins to emotionally unravel, even if she hides it. The posts become less confident, the laughter feels a bit forced, and the stories she tells her friends start sounding defensive. She might say, "I don't even think about him anymore." But the truth is, she's thinking about you every day, especially at night. That's when the crash hits the hardest. The emotional crash isn't just about missing you. It's about realizing she no longer controls the emotional rhythm. Your silence has changed the game, and she can feel it. What was once her advantage now feels like uncertainty. And the more she tries to regain that power, the deeper the crash becomes. And then comes the next stage, the one that sneaks up quietly. That's when curiosity starts to take over. As her emotions begin to settle after the crash, something subtle begins to surface. It's not pain this time. It's curiosity, a quiet pull toward the unknown. She starts wondering what's really going on with you. Not because she misses you yet, but because she can't stand the uncertainty that your silence creates. She used to know everything. When you were upset, when you were happy, when you needed space. But now you've gone quiet. And that gap in information starts to bother her more than she expected. At first, she brushes it off. She tells herself she's just wondering out of habit. But with every day that passes, her thoughts drift back to you a little more. She starts asking small questions in her head. What's he doing now? Did he already move on? Has he changed? Those questions start stacking up, and before long, you become a recurring thought in her day, even when she doesn't want to admit it. Curiosity is dangerous because it grows quietly. It doesn't make her emotional right away. It makes her observant. She starts noticing little things again, things she used to ignore. Maybe a song reminds her of you. Maybe she sees someone who looks like you and her heart skips a beat. It's in those small moments that curiosity begins to tighten its grip. She might start checking your online presence, not obsessively, but just to see. She might ask mutual friends casual questions, pretending it's nothing serious. But deep down, it's more than that. It's her way of trying to regain control, to understand where she stands now that you've pulled your energy back. And the more she realizes she can't figure it out, the more your silence starts to occupy space in her mind. It's a lot like when you hear a song that stops right before the chorus. You're left hanging, waiting for the drop that never comes. You keep thinking about it, waiting for resolution that doesn't arrive. That's what your silence feels like to her. Unfinished. And that lack of closure feeds her curiosity. This is when you start to live rent-free in her head. She doesn't realize it, but her curiosity is turning into emotional attachment again. She starts comparing her current mood to how she felt when you were around. She misses the sense of emotional predictability you once gave her, even if she used to take it for granted. The beauty of this stage is that you don't have to do anything. Your silence is doing the work for you. Every unanswered question strengthens your value in her mind. Every moment she spends trying to decode You reminds her that she doesn't have the same influence over you anymore. And while she won't admit it yet, that quiet curiosity is planting a seed, one that will grow into something she didn't expect to feel again. After curiosity takes hold, something shifts in her mind. She starts comparing. It's almost automatic. Once a woman starts thinking about you again, she begins to measure every new experience, every man, and every emotion against what she once had with you. It's not something she plans to do. It just happens. She might go on a date, talk to someone new, or even just scroll through messages from other guys. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she's comparing them to you. This stage is where she begins to realize that not every connection feels the same. You've set a certain emotional standard without even trying. Maybe it was your energy, your patience, your calmness. Whatever it was, it left an impression. And the truth is, once a woman has felt a genuine bond, it's nearly impossible for her to find that exact same feeling again with someone else. Here's what makes this phase powerful. The silence amplifies memory. When you're not there to correct her thoughts, her mind starts to idealize you. She forgets your flaws and remembers the way you made her feel. She remembers the comfort of your voice, the stability of your presence, and how different things felt when you were around. Even small things, the way you listened, the way you carried yourself, become benchmarks. That's how the comparison game begins. She could meet a guy who's funny, but not as calm. Another who's confident, but not as grounded. Or one who tries too hard, reminding her how natural things felt with you. And the more she looks for your traits in others, the more she realizes they're not easy to find. That realization doesn't happen all at once. It builds quietly until she starts to feel something she didn't expect. Emotional nostalgia. It's like when you move out of a home you once loved. At first, you're excited about the new space. It's fresh, it's different, but after a while, you start missing the smell, the familiar noises, the comfort of the old place. That's what's happening to her. She might think she's ready for something new, but deep down, she's still emotionally tied to what she left behind. This is where a lot of men get their power back, without even realizing it. Because while you're focused on yourself improving, rebuilding, living, she's in a quiet battle between pride and memory. She doesn't want to admit she misses you, but she can't stop comparing you to everyone else. And the more she does, the more your value rises in her mind. That's why patience is key during this stage. You don't need to prove anything or reach out. Your silence, your discipline, and your growth are enough. Because while she's trying to replace the feeling you gave her, she'll slowly realize something she didn't see before. You weren't just another guy. You were the one that made her feel something real. Once the comparison starts sinking in, something deeper begins to surface. Regret. It usually starts quietly, almost unnoticed. She might be going about her day when a random thought hits her. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have pushed him away like that. Those small thoughts grow over time until they become a constant voice in her head, replaying moments she can't change. Regret is one of the hardest emotions for a woman to admit because it challenges her pride. It means acknowledging she made a mistake, that she misjudged you, that she may have lost someone who truly cared. And when you're still holding your silence, that realization hits even harder. She begins to recognize how much of what happened wasn't about you being wrong. It was about her reacting emotionally. During this stage, she rewinds every conversation, every argument, every moment she might have misunderstood you. She starts to notice the things you did right, the things she didn't appreciate when you were around. Maybe she remembers how patient you were when she pulled away, or how consistent you were even when she was difficult. All those little moments she brushed off now feel significant because they highlight the stability she lost. Regret makes her see the relationship differently. Instead of focusing on what bothered her, she starts focusing on what she misses. She might even feel a mix of guilt and frustration, wondering why she couldn't see it earlier. And because you're not reaching out, she has no way to ease that guilt. That's when she starts realizing how your absence affects her, not just emotionally, but mentally. The silence becomes a mirror. She starts reflecting on herself in ways she never did before. She begins to understand that maybe the problem wasn't that you cared too much, but that she took that care for granted. She starts realizing that being wanted and being valued are not the same, and you showed her the difference. Regret also changes how she sees herself. When she realizes she may have lost a man who actually had good intentions, it forces her to face uncomfortable truths. Maybe she was chasing attention instead of connection. Maybe she confused your patience for weakness. Those realizations sting because they expose what she didn't want to see before. And that's what makes this phase powerful for you. Because without saying a word, you're teaching her a lesson her emotions couldn't grasp when you were still around. That silence can communicate more than words ever could. At this point, she's not just missing you. She's missing the version of herself that felt safe with you. She starts wishing she could go back and fix things, but pride still keeps her quiet. And while she wrestles with those feelings, something new begins to take shape inside her, a fear she can't quite explain yet. Finally, after regret starts setting in, something else begins to take over. Fear. And not just any fear, it's the fear of being replaced. This is when she starts to realize that you might actually be done with her. Up until this point, she believed that your silence was temporary, that sooner or later you'd come back. But when time keeps passing and your name isn't showing up on her phone, the reality starts to hit her. Maybe you've moved on. Maybe someone else has your attention now. That thought alone can shake her more than anything else. She starts to imagine what your life looks like without her in it. The idea of you being emotionally detached, calm, focused, maybe even happier, is unsettling. That's when jealousy begins to mix with fear. She's not just missing you anymore. She's realizing she might have lost her influence over you entirely. And for many women, that's harder to accept than the breakup itself. Now here's where most men need to wake up. Because during this stage, it's not just about her fear, it's also about your response to it. Some men break no contact too soon because they sense that shift in energy. They get that sudden message, that subtle sign, and they think it means she's ready to fix things. But that's where many slip up. You don't break silence to soothe her fear. You stay silent to prove that your worth isn't defined by her validation. This is the moment where your mindset matters most. When she fears being replaced, she's not only thinking about another woman, she's thinking about the man you're becoming without her. That's what really makes her uneasy. So instead of using this stage to gloat or get even, use it to grow. Become the man she doesn't just miss, but respects. Because when you improve yourself in silence, your absence becomes more powerful than any words you could send. You have to understand the point of no contact isn't revenge, it's restoration. It's about restoring your self-respect, your focus, your emotional control. Too many men use silence as a tactic instead of a transformation. They wait, hoping she'll reach out, instead of using the time to rebuild themselves. That's not strength. That's passivity dressed up as patience. So during this stage, ask yourself, have I grown since she left? Have I improved my discipline, my confidence, my purpose? Because when she starts to fear replacement, you want that fear to be based on truth, that you've evolved into a man who doesn't need her approval anymore. Her fear is her consequence, not your mission. Your mission is to become better, wiser, and stronger. Let her see from a distance that losing you was losing something rare. Because when she finally realizes you're no longer waiting, that's when no contact reaches its full power. And by then, you won't just have her attention, you'll have your self-worth back. All right, if you've made it this far, I want you to take a second and really think about what you just heard. You've seen what happens inside her mind when you go no contact. From that false sense of power, to the emotional crash, to the fear of being replaced. Every stage means something. It shows you that silence isn't weakness, it's strength used wisely. I hope you got something real from this, because this isn't just about her. It's about you, the man you become when you stop chasing, stop reacting, and start focusing on your own path. Remember this. A woman might be drawn to your attention, but she'll only respect your absence when it shows growth. If this video spoke to you, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're at in your no contact journey, what you've learned, or what you're struggling with. I'll be in the comments talking with you because your experience matters. You've got the insight now, use it. Stay silent, stay sharp, and let your peace do the talking.